A J-fashion style that has been taking over social media this past year is Gyaru, a subculture and subsequent set of substyles that is a direct rebellion against the harsh Japanese beauty standard, trading in the glamorized pale skin and clean conformist look for tans, exaggerated eye makeup, and loud fashion. And with the rise of Heisei retro nostalgia both in Japan and online, Gyaru has most definitely come back as a fun and flashy counterculture style for everyone to try out, with many social media influencers and creators wanting to try out the makeup to varying degrees of success. When I was in Japan back in March of this year, I ended up receiving the infamous Gyaru makeover by the studio PP Gal in Shibuya. And as somebody who was initially pretty skeptical about how I might look in this style, I was honestly genuinely stunned at how pretty and good I felt with this makeover, with the photos of it being something that I'm also really proud of, and I know that the littler version of me would have absolutely adored and dreamt of looking like. But it got me thinking, because I often get asked where I find all of my clothes, as well as people who are interested in Japanese alternative fashion can first start off getting into these different subcultures and styles. I forget that as somebody who has been into this stuff for well over a decade, it can be very intimidating to figure out where to start or how to go about it, especially during an era where those within these communities can be very loud and sometimes quite nasty with broadcasting their opinions towards newbies and beginners. But luckily it is now easier than ever to find resources on where to buy clothes, accessories, and how to get started. And so today I myself am going to be trying out 3 different viral Japanese fashion styles that I have no experience with as a beginner would. With this video being entirely possible thanks to JPFans, who are not only sponsoring the video, but also provided the resources for me to actually get the clothing and accessories that you see in this video. For anyone who's unfamiliar with JPFans, they are a proxy shipping service that are really easy to use both on their app and on their website, allowing you to search for items either by search term or even by photos. And then once you've bought a couple of items, you can just consolidate them into one package and ship them to yourself from Japan. And the great thing about JPFans is it allows you to shop like somebody who lives in Japan, which means you do get all of the good Japanese pricing for secondhand items, meaning that you can hunt or fight for bargains, whether that be fashion or figurines. And I have bought a lot of figurines with JPFans. I've bought a lot of my favorite figures with that website. It's a little dangerous, actually, if you're looking for certain figurines, because they have them. They have them on there. Purchasing with JPFans is really straightforward. Like, it is so easy. I tend to find that the best way of using JPFans is to purchase items over the course of about a month and then consolidate them into one package. Doing this not only saves on shipping, which is something that I also benefit from because I get a lot from JPFans, but of course, if you have any doubt or concerns about how much shipping could cost for you, then you can just use their shipping calculator to basically estimate how much everything's gonna come to and choose which is the best shipping option for you before you even make a purchase. JPFans has access to not only Mercari JP, which is one of my favorites, but also sites like Surugaya and their auction page. With their auction page being a new addition, which is not only fantastic for figure collectors if you're trying to find something rare at a lower cost, but it's also great for fashion lovers because quite often bundles of clothing will be available on auction rather than immediately for sale. And another thing that I would highly recommend as well, which is just something that JPFans offers, is a quality inspection service at checkout. Basically, this allows you to make sure that the item that you're getting is up to standard and matches the description of what you're buying. I've been happily working with and buying from JPFans for over half a year or more now, and I've not had a single issue with any of my packages, and honestly, it's been a fantastic way of getting items for not only my collection, but also for my wardrobe. I love a thrift, and some of the items I've recently gotten have been an absolute bargain, as you'll come to see. It is honestly so easy to use, and as such, I'll be showing the cost of the items that I'm purchasing, as well as using JPFans as my primary source when it comes to finding the items to get into this fashion or try out this fashion. Basically giving you a glimpse into how easy and accessible it might be to try out the fashion for yourself. And as an additional bonus, everything that I've purchased is actually secondhand, because that's something that a lot of people completely forget about when it comes to building a long-term and sustainable J-fashion wardrobe. And of course, as part of my exploration on these fashion styles, I'll be looking into the history of the style and subculture, different brands that cater to it that you can also use to look up and find these fashion items, and any kind of associated makeup or iconography that go with the style. However, to be clear, I won't be changing anything about myself to suit the style, as I personally believe, especially if you're starting out with a new style and you're trying it out for the first time, no one should feel obligated to permanently change their body or their hair in order to cater to it. But as a brief, but no doubt necessary disclaimer, because oh my god, the J fashion community online is a little bit evil sometimes, I'm not going to be approaching this as an expert on these styles whatsoever. As always, I'll be citing my sources on screen, as well as using books I own. I'll be showing some footage of some of the resources that I have physically on hand. But as always, if I do make a mistake, feel free to politely correct me down below, or just add additional context which could be helpful to others. This is my first time properly trying these styles or attempting these styles, and so I am not going to be the best example of them. But instead I want to explore how somebody new to these styles like myself could first try them out and build their confidence. So one of the J fashion styles that has become most well known worldwide is Lolita, also called EGL, which is elegant gothic Lolita. And just as a gentle heads up as well, due to Lolita being a term that is often misused when it comes to this fashion style and the unfortunate association with the Nabokov book, which in itself is a completely misunderstood novel, but we're not going to go there today. Unfortunately, it is sometimes easier to use EGL as your search term or as your posting hashtag, as to avoid any account banning or any issues when it comes to search engines, because unfortunately Lolita is sometimes a flagged term, so just be aware. EGL might be the best search term when it comes to researching Lolita fashion. And the origins of this style and subculture are most commonly attributed to the rise of feminine freedom in 1970s Japan, thanks to post-war industrialization leading many people to move to busy city areas such as Tokyo for work. At this time, Japanese women were starting to gain careers and opportunities that were previously closed off to them. And so with this new ability to have a career just outside of motherhood, but also still having the societal pressures of womanhood, many women began to gravitate to clothes that fell into the style of otome. Otome fashion being in reference to clothes and hobbies that were traditionally more young and feminine, with the silhouettes and clothing that you typically see within otome including long flowy skirts, cute jumpers or cardigans with fun buttons or fun collars, blouses and fitted t-shirts, and many kawaii patterns and accessories. And examples of otome fashion can be found in magazine publications of the time such as Olive. And a 2002 Japan Times article under the title "Japanese Women Staying in Touch with Their Inner Virgin" goes on to discuss this boom around otome culture. Within this new and evolving Tokyo landscape, the district of Harajuku became a hub for the women that were interested in this style, with this new popularity leading brands like Milk, Jane Marple, Pink House, and even the infamous and well-known Angelic Pretty creating clothes to accommodate this new market, with Baby the Stars Shine Bright also being founded in 1988, but having its original designs being far closer to otome than classic or modern Lolita, creating many ready-to-wear clothes such as blouses, dresses, and skirts. And from here, Lolita just began to naturally develop, with its alleged first original reference being in fashion magazine Ryuko Sushin's September 1987 issue. Lolita fashion was all about bringing joy to the wearer, taking inspiration for the styles and silhouettes from both French Rococo and also British Victorian fashion. And although not intentionally created as a rebellion, it's been argued that Lolita was a byproduct of the further emerging feminine presence in post-war Japan's modernization, focusing less on the male gaze and the expectations of raising a family, and instead focusing on what makes the individual wearer happy. And as Lolita grew, it formed three main styles, with these being classic, sweet, and gothic. Brands that heavily catered to classic and sweet Lolita included Angelic Pretty, Baby the Stars Shine Bright, and Pink House, amongst many, many others. Again, it was a very popular one. Whilst gothic Lolita takes a little bit more inspiration from more classical goth fashion, this being Victorian mourning clothes as popularized by Queen Victoria, as well as the standard French Rococo inspirations that are also seen within classic and sweet. The popularity of visual K-band Malice Mizer in the 90s is attributed to the rise and growth of gothic Lolita, due to visual K also taking inspiration for more masculine or androgynous period fashion, as well as Malice Mizer's lead guitarist Manasama going on to create the very well-known gothic Lolita brand Moi Mi Moitié. But of course, other brands that later catered to this gothic Lolita style also included Baby the Stars Shine Bright, Miho Matsuda, H Naoto, Marble, and Atelier Poirot. However, as of 2026, there is now a whole smorgasbord of different Lolita sub-styles, as well as an entire history of Lolita that just exists in its Western community. Everything from the trenches of Live Journal, the legacy of Eaters, all the way to Mr. Yan's body pillow. Despite its varying waves in popularity and awareness, EGL is still incredibly popular in both Japan and overseas. But there are a few big rules when it comes to Lolita that you need to pay attention to when you're first starting out, because otherwise you'll be told. And first of all, and arguably the biggest, is that bootleg or replicas are very highly frowned upon within the Lolita community, both in Japan and internationally. Brands like Romwe, Shein, Temu, and others have been making fake or bootleg prints of popular brands for years. And although the inaccessibility of brand names may make replicas a more desirable option, it is important to resist the urge to cut corners with this fashion. Trust me, that Amazon Lolita dress or that little for big sissy dress are not Lolita and will not be taken in good faith. If you turn up to a meet wearing these, you probably will be pulled to the side. If you post these online, you probably will be pulled to the side or told in a comment section or a DM. People do take it very seriously because at the end of the day, it is a small fashion community. Like again, bootlegs and replicas are taken very, very seriously. It is still a niche luxury fashion hobby, and as such, people don't want bootlegs and replicas floating around. They don't want people buying into this hobby half-heartedly, but that does make it feel inaccessible. But luckily there are alternatives to make the fashion feel more beginner-friendly. These include supporting Taobao brands, buying things secondhand, or even creating your own clothing by using stencils that are available online. Gothic Lolita Bibles came with various free patterns, most of which have been archived and scanned through, available for free access on the internet. Secondly, the silhouette of Lolita is very important. Although people understandably de-blouse in hot summer months, generally speaking, Lolita is almost always worn with a petticoat, and the style of petticoat can depend on the style of the outfit, with some requiring that more accentuated cupcake look and others being longer and more A-line. However, if you are wanting something that will keep you a little bit cooler in the summer or something that might be more comfortable, it's also worth considering a hoop skirt, which is definitely a little bit more expensive typically, but can be worth the investment if it is a fashion that you want to get into long term. And lastly, let's talk accessories. Because typically within EGL, you can't just leave it at a blouse with a dress. You have to accentuate it, you have to decorate it. A few pretty common accessories you're probably going to need include a head bow that could either be a flat headdress or a full head bow, wrist cuffs, a cardigan or a bolero, or some form of matching bracelets if you're planning to go short sleeve, and UTK or OTK socks, which basically just stand for under the knee or over the knee socks. And obviously cute shoes as well that match your outfit. These shoes being anything from semi-heeled baby doll or Mary Janes to other things such as Yosuke's or rocking horse shoes, depending on the style. And I suppose that brings me on to my first attempt at EGL, which is something that I've admittedly been very excited and also pretty scared to try. Lolitas were the Jedi Maxes before Jedi even existed. And so with me being so determined to try my best, I ended up roping in my girlfriend, who's actually more experienced with EGL and more into EGL than me, to help me pick stuff and help me find the right items that could fit me and flatter me. And she helped me settle on these reference images as inspiration. A more classic Gothic Lolita look, which features a baby doll JSK, blouse, and matching accessories. And so of course, my first port of call was going to JPFans. Buying stuff in the UK, especially J fashion, can be really, really expensive because people do resell it for a lot of money. They can overinflate the cost for a lot of money, especially for people who are unaware of the actual pricing of these things. So searching directly from Japan made a lot more sense and gave me a lot more options. Starting with the blouse, I unfortunately had to forgo brands like Baby the Star Shine Bright, purely because my measurements for my bust and my shoulders basically sized me out of their regular sizing. Like a lot of Western women, I unfortunately have broader shoulders and a bigger chest, meaning that I need to seek out a brand that offers more shirring in their blouses in order for it to fit comfortably. It really sucks because my waist and my hips actually fit into pretty small Japanese sizing. Like I can usually wear a small to a medium on my hips and on my waist, but because of my top half, I often can't find blouses that fit very comfortably because it either doesn't fit my shoulders very well or my chest is just like splaying out, which isn't what you want. My juicy naturals do not be like in Japanese sizing most of the time. But luckily, one brand that is often considered a bit more foreigner friendly is Atelier Perot. Atelier offers a lot of different blouses, including ones that have a good amount of shirring. And thankfully, after a bit of browsing on JPFans, I ended up settling for this one. A simple black blouse with a Peter Pan collar and these really pretty long gothic sleeves. And of course, plenty of corseted shirring in the back. Now next up is the JSK, which is arguably the most iconic part of any Lolita look. And one resource that I can recommend to anybody who is worried about sizing when it comes to Lolita is the website Lolly Library. I know the name sounds bad, but this is an official EGL database that catalogs a bunch of different Lolita releases, often including all the different sizes that were available for that release, including the measurements for those sizes. Meaning that whilst I was browsing on JPFans, I was able to cross-reference all of the items that I found to compare my bust and shoulder measurements. And I did find this really, really pretty JSK and matching headdress, which kind of reminds me of an Eton mess pudding and is definitely a really, really beautiful item for anybody who is more into sweet Lolita. Lolita. However, my plan was still a gothic look, and especially with the blouse already being purchased, I was already locked in. Meaning that the colorways I really wanted to focus on were black, dark blue, dark red, and various forms of dusty pinks or whites. Although one thing to bear in mind is that if you do go for a more limited or unique colorway, it can be much harder to find the correct associated accessories if they're not already available with the dress you're buying. There is a lot of cool tartan prints I'd love to try. However, again, trying to match up tartan prints from one dress to a headdress can be very difficult if they're not actually bundled together as part of the same release. The velveteen baby dresses are stunning, but trying to find the matching velveteen baby headdress is a headache. But thankfully I was able to settle on this black baby doll JSK from 2021 that was brand new with tags. This specific design is a classic with the look going back to at least 2001. Although as a classic design for the Baby the Star Shine Bright brand, it seems to get pretty regular re-releases in various colorways. So if you do like the look of it, it is actually one of the easier ones to buy and cross-reference. Now the last major thing that I needed was something for my head. I have tried a proper head bow before, and arguably due to the simple look of the baby doll JSK, I could just get away with a simple black head bow. However, I am admittedly a bigger fan of the flat headdress, which you see in most of my videos here on YouTube as well. So I ended up settling for this baby Rosalina Reuben headdress in black. And I guess that takes me to now. Everything arrived super fast without any issue. And thankfully I even got photos of the clothes before JPFans shipped them to me as well, so I could check that there was no issues or damages or anything nefarious going on. And low-key, my girlfriend also took advantage of the shipping and bundled one of her items in with me. And when I asked JPFans if it came with the included headdress that was listed in the description, they actually followed up with more images to show that the headdress was included. It was very useful and my girlfriend was very happy because she really wanted that set. And so I guess all that's left is to style it out. Transition time! So this is my first attempt at an EGL cord. I have worn EGL adjacent stuff before, as you may have seen on my Instagram or in my short form content, but when it comes to actual EGL, I've never really done a proper attempt because I think there is a distinctive line between inspired by EGL and being EGL. The community would also agree with that. But this is my first attempt. Now I will say, right off the rip, I have broken one cardinal rule that you typically see in the Japanese community when it comes to Lolita, and that is to not mix brands. Now, this isn't really a hard and fast rule that I've noticed in the West. Quite a lot of people do kind of interchange items, especially due to sizing. However, in Japan, having attended I think it was called the Gothic Lolita Lace Market in Shibuya, and having just kind of come across a lot of Lolita in the wild, typically speaking, it's not appreciated or suggested that you mix up brands. So if you're doing an outfit with predominantly moitié in it, then you need to have everything from moitié. Like, you don't want to have the headdress from Baby, blouse from moitié, dress from Metamorphose. Like, you don't want to do that. Like, you want to try and keep it one kind of brand. But unfortunately, because I have big booba and broad shoulders, that does mean that I do have to make adjustments for my sizing, which I think is a very reasonable thing to do. And to be honest, again, I feel like holding people to the standard of being very narrow framed to fit into certain clothing or stick to very rigid rules isn't very 2026. I think it's very old hat and it's quite outdated. I am having to kind of mix brands a little bit just to make things fit better. So on my head, I have a Baby the Stars Shine Bright headdress. I have adjusted this with the help of my girlfriend by adding grips to it, because personally I hate it when headdresses don't have like crocodile grips and they just kind of slide around on your head. I don't particularly like tying things underneath my chin. Much prefer when they have clips in them, so you can just kind of clip them in. Luckily, we did add clips to this headdress, or I should say they added clips to this headdress for me, so it was much more comfortable. So now it doesn't slide around on my head. It doesn't need the ties to keep it on, but it just gives that extra security. You know what I mean? So I've got a little baby headdress on the top of my head. Now, as for the blouse, this is kind of where I deviated from the go-to stick to one brand rule. This is Atelier Pro. The reason why I went for this one is a really beautiful blouse. I do love this blouse a lot. Like, I have been withholding myself from wearing it in content specifically for this video so I could kind of showcase it all at once. But I love this blouse. I really want to get a second one of these blouses because I think it is just so beautiful and comfy. I love the big sleeves. Big sleeves are like a thing I just really enjoy. And so again, having a blouse with it inbuilt, perfect. But yeah, the blouse is from Atelier. And then around my neck, we have the classic Vivienne Westwood orb necklace. I do have a bunch of these, but this is my favorite kind of go-to piece. It's a nice statement silver, and it's funnily enough the first piece of Vivienne Westwood that I ever bought for myself, which I think is really cool. But this is kind of like a classic go-to in a lot of Lolita. Vivienne Westwood does appear
a lot in EGL. And so again, it's a nice, simple and safe accessory to marry with the outfit. Now, as for the dress, this is my first official EGL dress. And so again, I was a little anxious because I wasn't sure if it would really suit me, but I actually do think it looks kind of cute. I worried that like JSKs and baby doll style JSKs could look a little unflattering because again, broader shoulders, bigger chest. I was worried it could look a bit kind of like puffy outward in a way that maybe wasn't too flattering, but I was a little anxious about it. However, I actually think it looks really, really cute. I think it looks very flattering. And it's really, really comfy. This is the Baby the Stars Shine Bright Baby Doll JSK, and I believe this is the 2021 release. A popular colorway of this is the white and black version, and that was available when I was looking. However, I think black is a little bit more me, and I just kind of preferred going for black. In my mind, it was a good place to start, and it stops me having to feel the need to accessorize with white as well, because I don't really have any like black and white accessories. So it made more sense for me to kind of stick with the kind of kuro color scheme. It is a really, really comfy dress. Actually, it's very comfy on the chest. It's really nice and breathable. Like this, I believe is a cotton. I'll put it up on screen, but that does mean it's a little bit easier to wash. It's a little bit easier to take care of. So on my legs, I have UTKs. UTK stands for under the knee socks. And these are specifically the Baby the Star Shine Bright UTKs. Again, I'm borrowing these from my girlfriend because she already had a pair available, so I was like, oh, I'll use those. At the minute on JPFans and Mercari, I could only find the black and white version, which again wouldn't really work with a full kuro cord. However, in future, I want to get more dresses. I've already kind of been inspired a little bit, so I would definitely look into getting the black and white versions. But yeah, the UTK socks actually fit really, really comfortably. Like they've got lots and lots of room to them, so definitely worth getting. But you can also partner a dress with tights, for example. I have worn tights with EGL before. It really just depends on how you feel, but UTK and OTK socks are pretty popular for the fashion. So again, these are Baby Star Shine Bright. And then down here on my feet, I have a pair of Yosuke's. Now these are actually really popular shoes when it comes to EGL and different kind of J fashion styles. And you can find them in shops all around Harajuku and Shinjuku. And you can specifically find this brand in Kera shop. So that is in the Maroi Annex in Shinjuku, I believe it's called. You can also find it on Takeshita Dori. They do have Yosuke's in quite a few kind of fashion malls and outlets. But these are just basically very tall platform heels. Again, I'm borrowing these from my girlfriend just because she already had a pair available, and luckily we are the same foot size, so again, works out quite nicely. However, another alternative pair of footwear that I have worn with this outfit, I will put a little video on screen, are my Hello Angel Girl rocking horse shoes. Rocking horse shoes are very, very popular again within EGL. A lot of brands have done their own versions of the infamous Vivienne Westwood rocking horse shoe. This includes Bodyline, this includes various Taobao brands. Basically, rocking horse shoes are quite a popular staple again within EGL. You will see them quite often. And so I luckily already did have this pair of Hello Angel Girl rocking horse shoes available to me. And so I have worn them before with this outfit, and I also think they look really, really good. So I feel like between the Yosuke's and these, they both work really well with this outfit. I think my favorite actually is the rocking horse shoes with it. However, just for the sake of this video, I kind of wanted to show the Yosuke's just because they are something that's easier to find online whilst this is an American brand. Oh my God, I realized I forgot a very important, hold on. I forgot one very important thing. 1 second. I forgot to add my Baby the Star Shine Bright usakumiya that I also got in Japan. So here's my little usakumiya added to the outfit. As for how I feel wearing this, I feel really pretty. I'm not gonna lie. I know it sounds really dumb. I know it sounds really silly and stereotypical, but I do. I feel like a little doll. I feel very pretty. I feel very, I don't know, I feel very confident in it, surprisingly. I think it's one of those fashions that can seem very polarizing from the outside, and I think it's definitely something that a lot of people would be scared to try just because it is so out of the ordinary for a lot of people. However, I really do think that it is such a beautiful fashion, and I definitely feel like trying it and getting to curate an outfit that suits my style already with a full kuro look has helped me feel a lot more confident in it. Personally, black is just kind of my go-to happy color with accents of pink or dark blue or dusty lilacs and stuff. I do like color, but I have kind of gone back to my dark roots a lot with fashion, which is where I started out with alternative fashion. Oh, some sirens outside. Beep, beep, beep. Beep, beep. Oh, someone's outside. Hello. Again, it is a polarizing fashion. I think a lot of people can feel very anxious about trying it for the first time, especially because, again, a lot of Japanese fashion styles can feel very uninclusive. They can be quite uninclusive. It is a luxury fashion hobby, and there is some notoriety, I guess, around the community as well. However, in reality, I think it is a really beautiful fashion to try out, and if you have the ability or have the desire to do it, I would definitely recommend it because I feel really pretty and I think it looks really good on me. I do think dare I say, more exaggerated blouses, EGL aesthetics and styles and silhouettes do suit me better than some other J fashion styles, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Tell me in the comments, I guess. But they definitely make me feel happy. They definitely make me feel comfortable. And I do feel that there is a level of satisfaction in curating an entire outfit that feels very me, that feels very thought out. Like with EGL, it is a very thought out outfit. But when it comes to EGL, I definitely have a newfound respect and love for it, having properly thought out and put together an outfit. My girlfriend is already somebody who is into EGL, so I referred to a lot of her advice when starting to acquire items. She was just sending me JPFans listings for weeks, trying to help me figure out what I wanted to get. And that definitely did help. I think having somebody who was already kind of within the community, or at least more aware of the styling within the community, definitely allows you to shop better and more thoughtfully, which I definitely think is a big part of EGL fashion, where you do want to think out your outfits. They are not cheap. It's not a cheap fashion to get into. And so I think planning out your blouses, planning out your JSKs and your accessories can make it a lot easier to accumulate a wearable and interchangeable semi-capsule wardrobe, as opposed to buying lots of little bits and pieces here and there and then not knowing how to style them. Like, I love some items from Angelic Pretty, but Angelic Pretty items are typically more sweet leaning, at most maybe a bit bittersweet, and that's not really my style. And so for as much as I really, really love them, partnering them with something like this just isn't really how it works. So again, although you can do fashion however you want, that's not me saying that you're not allowed to do that. When it comes to building an outfit like this, I definitely have a newfound appreciation for how much effort people put into their wardrobe and how much effort people put into their outfits. And I understand why people are so keen to take those really cute kind of little outfit photos and basically archive and catalogue their outfits, because actually putting together a really good cord, putting together your first cord, can feel like quite a big thing. And I think it's quite nice to show off that styling because other people will also use it as inspiration too. When it comes to EGL, I definitely rate it highly. I am really enjoying wearing it, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be wearing this exact outfit to Hyper Japan this weekend, so I'm gonna get this blouse washed up because it is very warm in the UK at the minute. So I am gonna put this through the wash and let it dry in the sunlight and outside for a little bit just before the convention. But I will be wearing it to Hyper Japan because I feel really pretty and I want to match with my girlfriend and do a little cute like EGL couples look. And so I really thoroughly am enjoying wearing this. I definitely want to buy more items, and generally I am just really enjoying stuff like Atelier Poirot and just having fun with bringing EGL inspired elements into my daily wardrobe as well, where it comes to skirts or comes to blouses. I'm definitely a big fan, so if you want to get into EGL, I would highly recommend it. But outside of just my opinion of how I look in EGL, obviously let me know your opinion down below as well. But what do we think? Do you think that I look cute in EGL fashion? Do I look nice in EGL fashion? Does it suit me? Let me know, I guess. Tell me down below. Stop your crafting, stop your drawing, stop your crocheting or craft. What are you making? Tell me what you're making. Stop that for right just now. Leave a comment down below. Does it suit me? Let me know. Also, I thought it'd be fun to not just have my opinion on how I look in this outfit, which arguably is the most important, but I also wanted to ask people who are creators and more experienced in the EGL space about what they think of my cord. So here's some of their feedback.
Hi everyone, my name is Carol, or also known as Carolmikuu, and I am a EGL content creator, and I am here today to judge or give my opinions on Eddie's first, I believe, EGL cord, which is really, really exciting, and I can't wait to look at it. In case you don't know, EGL actually has been around for a long, long time, starting as early as like 1980, 1990, maybe even earlier, depending on what sources you look to. So this fashion has been around for a long time. There's a lot of long-standing traditions and history and everything. What I will be taking a look at is mostly the silhouette of the dress, but also how the cord is structured. In case you are unfamiliar, a cord has a specific structure to it. Head accessory, accessories on the hands, so maybe rings, wrist cuffs, bangles, and so on. Then obviously a main piece, such as a skirt with a blouse, or a JSK with a blouse, or an OP, which has the sleeves, so you don't need a blouse. And of course, some kind of socks or tights, and of course, also tea parties or some kind of Lolita or regular shoes, whichever you prefer, of course. Now, there's always going to be exceptions, but the most important part is the petticoat. There's two silhouettes in Lolita fashion that are most common. One is the A-line and one is the cupcake. An example for cupcake is actually what I'm wearing right now, which is the flow! So a petticoat really does carry the look depending on which silhouette you go for. And it is kind of the thing that makes a dress transform. And I'm really curious what Addie chose. I see her a lot with more darker themes, so I would love to see some kind of gothic Lolita dress. I have not taken a look at the photos just yet, so I'm really curious. I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, let's take a look together and see if she qualifies or if she's a certified Ida. I'm just kidding. We're not saying Ida anymore, but you know, joke, please. Okay. It seems she went for a gothic theme that I was kind of predicting, but it seems actually more in a Kuro way. In case you don't know, Kuro Lolita is a all black coordinate. So usually there's no color found and the whole pieces are just black. There does seem to be a silver accessory, which appears to be Vivienne Westwood, which is very iconic. Lolitas love Vivienne Westwood. I can immediately identify a old school vibe, Baby the Starshine Bright JSK, which is so good. Addie is a certified brand whore. I'm just joking, by the way. This is not derogatory. Brand whore often refers to people who like really enjoy brands, and obviously I'm one myself, kind of. I love Angelique Pretty. Not a diss. This is just pure love, okay? I love the silver jewelry. Even the headdress appears to be Baby the Starshine Bright, and she's wearing rocking horse shoes, which is just, my heart is happy. There's also a Usakumia in the black colorway with the piercing blue eyes, and if you know, you know. These little shits can be expensive, but that looks amazing. The whole cord is fantastic. It appears to be a more A-line style, which is perfectly appropriate. There is a petticoat, there is a blouse, the quote-unquote cord has been successfully put in practice. It looks incredible. I really don't have any notes, I don't think. Even down to the socks, to the shoes, the accessories, and for a first cord, that is incredibly impressive. It shows that Addie did a lot of research prior to purchasing the items and understanding what Lolita fashion is about, how to structure a cord, and also where to buy items, because clearly that worked out great. And it surprises me, okay? My first cord was a disaster. This is probably just a lesson to anyone out there. Do research before you buy. It will make your experience in the Lolita community so much easier. But yeah, wonderful. 10 out of 10, no notes.
Hey Addie, I am so excited to see what cord you put together. I feel like you're a very creative person, so I have been looking forward to this for a while. You're gonna catch my very first impression right now as I look at it, and then I'll give some final thoughts at the end as well. Wow, that's not really what I expected. For some reason I thought you would go for a more punk or even classic style, but I do love a good Kuro cord. Kuro is a subgenre of Lolita fashion. That means, you guessed it, everything is black, from the main piece to the blouse to the shoes, etc. I really like the headpiece you chose because it has a lot of different textures going on, so there's a lot of visual interest up here. My only immediate recommendation for you, just looking at these pictures now, is maybe to add a little more texture elsewhere in the look, because you don't have a lot of variation in color. There's a lot of what we could call neutral space, like down your arms and in the torso area. A little bit more accessorizing maybe would do the trick, or a different blouse even, although I do love a dramatic sleeve. I also really love the makeup you did, because Lolita gives you a lot of freedom with doing your makeup however you enjoy doing it, and I'm seeing other J-fashion inspiration here as well. Unlike other J-fashion styles like Jirai, where the makeup is a huge part of the fashion itself, Lolita fashion is a little more chill about the makeup. So I think you did an awesome job. Here are my final thoughts on your coordinate. I think you being such a fun and adventurous person yourself, you could have so much fun styling different accessories and little pieces here and there to make a cord really next level. Even though you've been in adjacent spaces for a really long time, being a beginner in the Lolita space specifically, I feel like maybe your cord is a little tamer than I expected, not in a bad way. I do think this is a really good coordinate that works for pretty much any occasion. So I would love to see you have some more fun and get a little weird with it. You know, try something that you haven't necessarily seen before, or combine accessories that you wouldn't necessarily reach for on the daily. You did a really good job. I'm gonna dock just 1 point for creativity and give you a 4 out of 5 stars. But your coordinate is awesome and you should do this again. Thanks for having me. Bye.
First of all, I think your cord is super cute, especially if it's your first EGL cord you've ever made. I think that's really impressive. It reads to me, at least, as a take on Kuro old school Lolita. I think the baby JSK really helps with that. The rocking horse shoes, I think, were something that was pretty popular back then as well. I also love the headdress. I think it goes really well with the JSK. I also wouldn't really worry about having a blouse from a different brand as the rest of the cord, as that's not something that the Western community at least really cares about nowadays. So you're like a-okay there. If you are, however, going for a more old school look, I don't know if that's what you're doing. Hime sleeves were not as common back then. So maybe if you found a bishop sleeve or a more straight sleeve that might look more old school. Then again, if your goal is not old school, then you're good. I think the only thing I might change, be your cord old school or not old school, would be the shape of the petticoat you're wearing. For that baby doll JSK, I think an A-line petticoat might work a little better than a cupcake petticoat. Just of how the garment is structured, it doesn't have quite the right skirt shape for a cupcake silhouette, especially since it has a very empire or high waistline. It might just give the JSK a little more volume so you could get that distinctive Lolita silhouette. However, in old school, if you are doing an old school cord, the silhouettes weren't as extreme, so having a slight poof actually makes it look more old school anyway. Accessory-wise, I love the Usakumya, so cute. The Vivienne Westwood orb reads a little bit Jirai to me, but Lolitas also love Vivienne Westwood. I mean, you have the rocking horse shoes. So all in all, I think it's a super cute Kuro cord, and I hope you keep wearing Lolita.
Hi Addie, I'm Bemmy. I'm from the Central Florida Lolita Society. I've been doing Lolita for about 15 years now, and my review of your cord is going to be a bit biased because clearly we have very similar tastes. I think you did very well on putting together your coordinate. You really show a great attention to detail. It really shows how you put the thought and the research into it. Having a Peter Pan blouse, Peter Pan collar blouse, it can be really difficult to find those on plus sizes, so A plus there. The princess sleeves, a classic. Good on you, because they're not easy to wear. You really are doing excellent at bringing the texture from the head and the headdress all the way throughout the cord, with the lace on the headdress throughout the JSK, and then the detail of the lace on your socks. It just brings it through the whole thing, which is a really big deal in making a cohesive coordinate. One thing I would say is that whomever told you that all of your main pieces should be by the same brand, I'm gonna fight them, because that's not a thing. Even if it was a thing once upon a time, that's silly. Your look is great. One thing I would say is a lot of Lolitas will say that matching pinks is really hard. Matching blacks is just as hard. Any other emo or edgy kid would tell you that. Yeah, your cord is great. My only critique, sincere critique, would be your petticoat. It's a bit flat, a little deflated, which happens to the best of us. I would recommend, if you're able to, especially for hot days, something we often do in Central Florida is chiffon. Chiffon blouses are a godsend. And then hoop skirts. If you can find a hoop skirt that fits your measurements, there are adjustable ones that you can find. Highly, highly recommend, because they can help give you that extra kind of breeze. It gives you the perfect shape, and it doesn't overheat you in crazy weather like everywhere has been happening. So you're killing it. Please keep it up.
So before Tenshi Kaiwai, there was Mizurio, a style which started in the early 2010s and adopted a light blue, white, and cyber colour scheme. Musical artists like Ano were very heavily associated with the style, partially due to her colour in the group You'll Melt More being blue, as well as Ano's own reputation for being awkward and a bit of a social outcast. Ano often wears oversized tracksuits and t-shirts. Mizurio also takes influence from anime and pop culture as well, with characters like Rei from Evangelion, Cinnamoroll from Sanrio, and Sidotan the Seal being popular motifs and icons within the style. Mizurio doesn't have strict styling as such. The main components are just mainly oversized clothing such as tracksuits or hoodies, leg warmers, shorts, and t-shirts. And accessories like headphones, cute hair clips, cute backpacks or ita bags are also pretty common too. But much more recently, Tenshi Kaiwai was created. The style first attributed as the community and fan mail hashtag of the online magazine Tenshi's Yoshi, which is a magazine based around the Mizurio aesthetic. Tenshi Kaiwai translates to angel community or angel clique, mostly in reference to the style's light and airy colour scheme as well as its futuristic and dreamy elements, with creators like Nuta Dayo being heavily attributed as representatives of this style within Japan. Nuta herself also having had multiple collaborations with fashion brands such as Iru, as well as her own line of clothes that can be found in high density areas such as the Don Quixote in Akihabara or areas like Shinjuku. When I've been out in Japan multiple times over the last few years, I have seen this style literally everywhere in various ways, as well as just areas that are known for their otaku popularity such as Akihabara and Ikebukuro. This style has really taken off alongside other similar youth fashions such as Jirai-kei, Ryozongata, Subcul, and even just the resurgence of Heisei Retro. In some instances, such as with Jirai-kei, this style is also worn by those living within that lifestyle or as part of that community. Tenshi Kaiwai, in a similar way to Mizurio, is heavily defined by its light and airy colour scheme, such as its light blues and pastels, or white and grey, as well as the oversized tracksuit and streetwear elements. However, it also incorporates other silhouettes too, such as maid outfits, cute headdresses, jersey dresses, sailor outfits, and a lot of frills. And the makeup often associated with this style is byojaku makeup, emphasizing the namida bukuro and making the wearer look a little bit sickly, a little bit tearful, making them look a little bit tired as well. Just somebody who is a little bit kind of tired, sleepy, poorly, a little bit pasty maybe, just looking a little bit off color, a little bit unwell in some way. However, to be very, very clear, there is no requirement to wear any specific type of makeup or makeup at all with this style. And there's also no requirement to be pale or pasty yourself to wear it. You don't have to be pale, you don't need to be white, you don't need to have very white pale skin. That's not a thing. That's not a thing you need to do. And I also want to just mention that some people argue that Tenshi Kaiwai is just the Western name given to the Japanese style of Mizurio, and that within Japan, people don't really reference it as Tenshi Kaiwai. But equally, the content creator Nuta also coined the term Datenshi Kaiwai as being the darker sister to Tenshi Kaiwai, replacing the light airy colors with darker, more dim alternatives, with Datenshi Kaiwai being more like a fallen angel. Although it is not a fully recognized term, it is a style that you will see again around areas like Shibuya and Shinjuku. The black and white color scheme and the darker colors are now more popular, and Nuta is hoping that the term will catch on. A few brands that cater to Tenshi Kaiwai or Datenshi Kaiwai include Iru, Vulcan and Aphrodite, which can be found in a lot of different places. It's quite a popular store. AC/DC Rag, Gnu Pavilion, Hot Dry Sis, Psycho Nation, and Winnie, just to name a few. And equally, this is definitely a style that can pretty easily be upcycled or DIY'd. A lot of it is very simple and can easily just be a white baggy t-shirt and you can just sew in some cute lace. Like, it's very easy to upcycle and DIY the style too. You don't need to have any kind of brand names to wear this style. Brand names are really not a big part of it at all. Like, no one's going to care if you're wearing Iru or something you made yourself particularly. Like, no one really cares. That's not so much of a thing. And going on JPFans to look for this style, it was crazy how cheap some of this stuff was. Like, we're talking insanely cheap. You can find pretty much basically everything that you need for this style for a fraction of the price. And just searching Tenshi Kaiwai in Japanese, I was met with so many results, which ended up leading me to coming across this insanely big bundle of Tenshi Kaiwai clothing and accessories, some being pre-owned and others being brand new with tags. Like literally a small capsule wardrobe's worth of clothing just as a bundle. Everything from leg warmers to shorts, a skirt, to multiple t-shirts and hoodies, as well as also bags, like multiple bags, all of which came just under £50. For comparison, a brand new AC/DC rag setup in this style would probably cost you about £100 plus shipping and import fees. And of course, getting so many items for so cheap was a real big win, like a really, really big win. And so it made it a lot easier to figure out the styling because I was able to pretty much get everything I needed for a small capsule wardrobe of Tenshi Kaiwai. But how did I end up styling it?
I kid you not, everything came in this giant bag inside a box, obviously. There's tons. for what, I think like $60 or like 45 quid. Crazy how much you were able to get for Tenshi Kaiwai. So I'm just putting all of this in the wash, and again, there is a lot in this bundle, but one of these is brand new with tags, and it's actually the brand that Nuta does herself. So this is actually, as you probably would have already heard by this point in the video, one of the people, or the person who is credited to being responsible for this trend and for kind of naming this trend, and that's really, really cool. So this is literally brand new with tags, which is kind of crazy. So again, there's some brand new items in this bundle, as well as pre-loved stuff. So yeah, there's a bunch in here, not to mention all of the bags and everything as well. I think there's like 3 or 4 bags in this bundle too. So one of the biggest things that I'm learning right now when it comes to styling a Tenshi Kaiwai outfit is trying to make sure that the colors match up, which I do believe seems to be easier when you are buying a set from one designer or one collection. I have obviously a lot of clothes to try and cycle through. This hoodie, which I was pretty hopeful about, is very cute, very comfy. I would say in terms of quality and comfort, it's easily my favorite of the bunch. However, the blue is quite bright, and unfortunately there wasn't any matching shorts kind of match this same shade of blue, which means I'm now kind of having to rethink the outfit. So I'm going to look through the pile that I have and see what I can make. I've settled on a different hoodie. I've tried my Evangelion hair clips, however these ones kind of suck because unless you've got like a wig in, they don't really stay, like the clips just kind of come out, which is annoying. So I'm probably gonna like reject these as an option for the look. However, I remember that I had something which I feel fits the theme really good, which are these Yao headphones in blue. So I'm gonna try and style these with it, and I'm gonna try and finish off the look. So this is what I was able to come up with when it came to the bundle that I got from JPFans, as well as making use of items that I already had in my house, because again, you can use whatever items that you have at home and repurpose them and style them amongst loads of different styles. So on my head, I'm wearing my Yao headphones, which thankfully are a shade of blue that I think just about matches up with the one that I'm wearing. As I said before, it's actually surprisingly difficult with Tenshi Kaiwai to make sure that you're matching up the correct shades of blue, and you won't realize until you try it on or put an outfit together how much of a difference having different shades could make to an outfit. I didn't realize that having like slightly different shades of blue with the tartan print and another matching tartan print would still look massively out of place. And so unfortunately, I had to go back to the drawing board and come up with a more simple outfit. But again, luckily with Tenshi Kaiwai, simple seems to still be quite effective and quite often is just how people wear it. On top, I am wearing one of the hoodies from the JPFans bundle that I received. This one right here is a pretty generic one. It's pretty kind of innocuous. It doesn't have any kind of branding on the inside. I feel like it's just kind of a generic fast fashion one, unfortunately. But again, buying secondhand is a way to kind of reduce your impact when it comes to buying clothes. Unfortunately, a lot of J fashion is fast fashion. It is one of those sucky things about it, especially styles like this. They tend to be a lot of polyester and they tend to be a lot of fast fashion. But I went for this specific hoodie out of the bundle because this one is just a little bit more generic, which makes it easier to style. I feel like the blue, because it's a bit brighter and less muted, is a little bit easier to match with items like this, which again tend to be a little bit more bright blue. But overall, it's very comfy. Obviously, during hot weather, polyester isn't the best thing to wear. I will say it's currently 26 degrees in my office right now, and it is a little bit warm. It's a little bit warm, I will say. However, it is pretty comfortable. I've got quite a lot of room here, which is one of the best parts about Tenshi Kaiwai. They tend to be very oversized, especially brands like AC/DC Rag, which do offer plus sizing as well, which does tend to mean that this style is more plus size inclusive just by proxy of the oversized nature of it. I do understand that obviously something being oversized does not equal the intended fit, and therefore being plus sized and wearing something that's oversized does not equal the intended kind of look that you might be going for. But it does mean that items like this, like hoodies, even if you wear them open and unzipped, can still be worn and enjoyed by people who don't fit into the more narrow Asian sizing, which is typically offered. Now, when it comes to my bottoms, like I said before, trying to match up the shades of blue, especially when it's from different brands, is a little bit difficult. This is from the brand FLC, which I believe is the brand created by one of the influencers most associated with Tenshi Kaiwai. However, this shade of blue doesn't fully match this shade of blue, which then doesn't fully match the headphones. You can see a kind of consistent issue here. However, the good thing is because this is an oversized hoodie, you pretty much get away with just a little peak of a slight shade of blue that doesn't quite match, a little hint of it, to an extent that I don't think looks too out of place with the outfit. Like, it doesn't look ideal, but it is manageable. You can put it together like this. And because, again, the oversized nature of the hoodie, it allows for the bottoms to be a little bit less of the focal point. I could probably hitch the bottoms up higher. I've got them sitting quite low on my hips, actually. I wonder if I sit them a bit higher. Hold on, let me put them kind of nearer my waist. Let me know what you think. But that does end up hiding the blue, which then means we've just got white, which arguably might be better. Then when it came to footwear and socks, again, I was a little bit stumped because some of the leg warmers I got didn't match the same shade of blue. And so instead I went for some of my slouch socks, which I did get in Japan from Don Quixote. And then I also thought that actually maybe wearing my donkey slides, although dark blue, would also match the nature of Tenshi Kaiwai. I feel like these are very cute. Unfortunately, I don't have my white New Rocks anymore, and the only ones I have are pink and white, so wouldn't really match the theming of this particular outfit. But I think maybe because of the nature of this subculture and where it emerged, and quite often the budget of those within it, I think that maybe going for donkey slides isn't too off base for something that you can wear within Tenshi Kaiwai. Honestly, when it comes to Tenshi Kaiwai, I'm not sure if I personally like it that much on me. Obviously, as you can probably tell from my hair colour, from my general style that you see in my videos, I do more towards kind of gothic, darker, edgier styles. Stuff like EGL, stuff like Jidai-kei, stuff like Yami Kawaii tend to be more my flavour as opposed to the more kind of pastels. I did used to love pastel fashion a lot. However, now, I think where I'm at now, it's not my thing. And I do feel, like I said before, this feels more like a costume to me personally than it does clothing that I would personally want to go out in. That doesn't mean that it is a costume. I want to preface that real quick. But for me, it feels very not like me. It doesn't feel like myself. This does not look like my regular style at all, I fear. So I think in that sense, actually having a wig, actually having a different hairstyle might make me feel a little bit more like myself in this. I feel like wearing maybe a white wig, a silver wig, even a blue wig, or even just like a brown bob. Again, taking away that bright pink, that warm contrast, and even just the edginess of the stripes could serve me better in this look. I'll also say again, because it is quite warm, this is one of those outfits that in the summertime, due to polyester, might not be the most comfortable. Obviously, it's different strokes, different folks, but for me, I'm a little bit warm and toasty, and obviously I do prefer to be more dressed in linens and cottons and gauze during the summer as opposed to polyester where possible. But again, polyester kind of is an inescapable part of a lot of J fashion styles. It is just kind of imbued into many of them, and many brands opt to at least have a poly cotton blend now, so that is something to keep in mind. But again, because the style is so simple, it is one that does offer a lot more accessibility to those who are just starting or wanting to dip their toe into the fashion, as well as people who maybe don't always have accessibility to other J fashion styles. Quite a few brands that already cater to Tenshi Kaiwai also cater to plus sizing, again, such as AC/DC Rag, which really is one of the best ones to start out with for both your budget and also for kind of trying out different styles with more plus size inclusivity. But also the simplicity of the style means that you can DIY a lot of this. Like, a lot of items for Tenshi Kaiwai don't require you to buy from name brands. They don't require you to have any specific pieces to make the look complete. A lot of the time you can build a Tenshi Kaiwai look with items that you find, items that you upcycle. Making a headdress, doing the headwear is as simple as either thrifting items, is as simple as sewing on lace or trim onto a very simple base, or it can even just be wearing cute hair clips that you probably already own. I definitely feel like you could go down to your local haberdashery, buy some cute lace and cute decoration, and easily upcycle t-shirts and hoodies that you might already own or that you can find at thrift stores in your sizing and make it into a Tenshi Kaiwai look. In that sense, I definitely feel like it's a more thrift, affordable fashion. I definitely feel like it's a lot more accessible in that way too. And also in terms of value, this is a lot more accessible, as we found out from the cost of this bundle, than styles like EGL, which again are very, very beautiful, but are much more of a known, accepted luxury hobby and fashion. And again, because Tenshi Kaiwai is still quite an open style, far more open than other more similar subculture styles like Jidai-kei and Ryozangata, that does give you more freedom in terms of color palette too. So for example, you can do pink and white, you can do grey and white, and I also feel like having things like maybe yellow and white or pastel colours and white could still start to fit into Tenshi Kaiwai purely because they're light and airy colours. So you could potentially do like a mint and white cord, and that would still count as Tenshi Kaiwai, provided you're fitting the silhouettes and the style. Again, this style isn't personally for me. I don't think it's one that I would want to wear in my day-to-day life. To me, it does feel like something fun to try out, maybe even incorporate into a cosplay, or just wear for a convention, or to wear casually maybe one day. But generally, this isn't something that I'm going to incorporate into my wardrobe long term, but I do think trying it out is definitely worthwhile and very fun. So if you have a friend that already enjoys it, or if you're able to pick up things secondhand or upcycle existing clothes, I think it is worth having a go, especially because, again, it has very little pressure on makeup, very little pressure on hair. You don't have to change aspects of yourself, your makeup. You don't have to get better at makeup or have a lot of money to necessarily enter into this style, which I think is something that a lot of other styles do require far more. But again, I guess let me know what you think down below. Do you think that this would look better with a wig? Do you think it'd look better with a mask? I might try it on with my Rose and Maiden wig that will be coming later this week and have a little clip of that as well, just so you can kind of see the difference. But generally speaking, for me, I don't think this is going to be a style that I'll be revisiting often, but I'm glad I've tried it. And the final style that I'll be trying today as a newbie is the pretty popular and viral style of Choco Girl, which is arguably the least strict of all three. And to be honest, this style isn't really a defined subculture or style as such, but it's more so an aesthetic that's naturally developed due to the different trends in kawaii fashion over the last decade or so. Mostly derived from the Heisei period of Japan, where having fake food as decorations or accessories was a very popular aesthetic. And many popular brands have unknowingly contributed to the evolution of this style over time. For example, the Lolita brand Angelic Pretty has released biscuit and chocolate prints pretty regularly, with designs like Melty Ribbon in 2014, Queen Chocolate in 2017, and Chocolate Rosette in 2015. And equally, a lot of older himekaji pieces from brands such as Liz Lisa or Access Femme are also pretty highly sought after in this aesthetic too. The main rule is that the color scheme and prints need to match the design or colorway of a chocolate or a dessert. Lots of pinks, creams, browns, maybe some mint or caramel colours depending on what you're going for, and of course cute sweet prints and accessories. Basically think of a chocolate cake or some Neapolitan ice cream, and that about summarizes what you're trying to aim for to replicate. With Choco Girl or Biscuit Girl, as they kind of overlap, the silhouette tends to lean more feminine, with dresses or skirts and layered tops and leg warmers being common. Statement bags are also pretty popular, with biscuit shapes or chocolate bar prints being produced as regularly as this year by brand Chalmier in their Bon Bon chocolate collection. And of course, popular EGL and kawaii brand Qpot are also a perfect choice when it comes to their hyper-realistic sweets and dessert themed jewelry. However, again, this is another style that can be achieved with very minimal purchasing of brand names. To be honest, this is an aesthetic that's only recently gained any real name or notoriety. In part thanks to social media such as TikTok and Pinterest renaming the jumble of himekaji, lame-kei, and Lolita as being Biscuit Girl or Choco Girl, or maybe Neapolitan Girl is another one you've heard of. And again, there's also no real associated makeup for this style, so you can go entirely without makeup, or you can just wear more classic dolly makeup, or even just your favorite makeup. Again, there's no real hard and fast rule with what kind of makeup you should or should not be doing with this style, because again, it's more of an aesthetic than a subculture or established style in the true sense of EGL or Tenshi Kaiwai. And so for my attempt at Biscuit Girl, I tried to target popular brands I already knew were very kind of amenable within this style. So first I searched for Access Femme, as typically they are pretty affordable, especially secondhand. My god, Access Femme can be really, really cheap secondhand if you're lucky. This was definitely a good call, but there was a lot that was also very unrelated to this style that I had to sift through. And so instead, I used a JPFans photo search feature to end up just showing pictures of the aesthetic into the database. And this was a very good move because immediately I was met with way more clothing and accessories that actually fitted the aesthetic that I was looking to buy. By doing this, I was able to find this really cute Access Femme bakery hat for under £4, an Access Femme long sleeve top for £13.50, and another one in a more cardigan style for under £5. And I also found this skirt, again in these kind of perfect biscuit colours, for under £15 by, again, Access Femme. And then for bags, I once again went back to the search feature and had even more luck. Although the Chalmier and Qpot bags were very tempting, they were quite expensive, and I honestly thought that I could probably replicate a very similar look without having to go for a more expensive brand named bag. So instead, after some scrolling,
styling, I found a great alternative. This is the Misako Aoki Sanrio collection in the milky brown colorway, and inside it has this really cute little twin style print. This bag I grabbed for under £10. And I also found another useful item with this search, and that was this really cute Tully's Bear key charm and also a matching Tully's Coffee chocolate reusable tote bag. Reusable tote bags are also always useful and needed, but getting to find one that was perfect in the chocolate print was just very, very lucky. And I'm also not going to say no to a cute bear in a cute jumper. If you go to Japan, definitely go to Tully's Coffee. It's probably the best coffee place. Real good coffee at Tully's. I snagged both of these for £11. Although as for jewelry, I did cave and take a look at Q-Pot purely because I've always wanted a little bit of Q-Pot and this felt like the right time to start shopping around for them. And so I ended up settling on 2 items. The first was this 925 silver ring from their tooth collection, with rings being something that I get a lot of wear out of anyway. Like, I always wear rings, I love my rings, and so this just felt like a good investment anyway because it's very, very wearable with all of my fashion. And I also got lucky and managed to snag it for just around a third of the original retail price. And I also chose this hyper-realistic biscuit heart necklace, which is something that the Q-Pot brand is just known for. Although again, Q-Pot really does have so many options when it comes to their cute dessert themed accessories. Like, they have so much chocolate and dessert themed stuff. It is crazy. So if you do love that, they do so much. But now admittedly, this is one style that I do feel would probably suit me less, in part thanks to my hair color, which again, I do think can impede on certain styles. I don't believe in changing your hair color or your style just to suit a style or accessorize, but I also do think that because I do go for like the vivid pink and the black, that can sometimes style me out of certain looks, and it made me a little bit more anxious to try Choco Girl because it's far more based in pastels and milky colors. But let's just see what I can achieve with what I got.
Why am I low-key feeling myself in Choco Girl fashion? Like, is it just me or does this look kind of cute? I feel like it looks kind of cute. Okay, so this is my first attempt at Choco Girl fashion, and I had to get a little bit of creative with some of the layering because I don't have a lot of basic white stuff in my wardrobe, although this has convinced me to get some cute white vest tops and layering pieces, because you're gonna see. On my head, I have the very cheap Axis Femme hat, which is actually really, really comfy and cute. Again, I have kind of a large cranium, so I was a little bit worried that maybe it wouldn't fit my head very comfortably, but like, this is super comfy. I really like this little hat actually. And I've also partnered it with this super cute little biscuit hair clip that I bought at a recent kind of like craft fair market I went to. The person who made this actually watches my videos, and I'll put their account somewhere on screen, but I saw this and I knew it would work really well for this outfit in preparation for this video. So I had to get it. It's a really cute little hair clip, although I do think as well you could clip this onto the bow on this jumper, so I might do that as like another little like outtake so you can see what that might look like. And then for the layering, which you're gonna see properly in a minute, I'm actually wearing an Axis Femme dress as the bottom layer. Now, because the Axis Femme dress is a proper dress, like it's a short dress, but it is a dress, I've had to kind of hitch up the dress and the fabric from the dress, it's quite a lot of spare fabric, under my bra. Which does mean it looks a little bit more bulky around the jumper on top. However, you'll see why I wanted to do this, to kind of show what the layering could be if you had like a cute white vest top that's a little bit longer that can peek out. And then on top, I have the really, really nice little Axis Femme jumper that I bought on JPFans. This is a really, really nice one. It is super cute on its own or as a layer on top of something else. It's really, really comfy. It fits really, really well. Again, Axis Femme is just one of those brands that honestly, I was sleeping on for a good hot minute. I feel like a lot of people forget that Axis Femme do just kind of do a little bit of everything. Like they do some really cool punky style stuff. Like I have one of their skirts, which I use quite often with my Vivienne Westwood items. And then they equally do some really nice basics, like my black tulle skirt, which again, I wear quite often. And buying Axis Femme secondhand is almost always considerably cheaper than buying it new too. So again, it's one of those brands that's actually really, really good for a thrift. But here is what the jumper looks like. Again, it is kind of like bunching up a bit more by my waist because I have a lot of excess fabric now bunched up by my waist and my chest. However, again, I do think it looks quite cute. And then obviously around my neck, I have the Q-Pot biscuit necklace. Now, I think the only thing that I would prefer in this situation is that it's actually a bit shorter because it actually hangs quite long on the outfit that I've composed for today. And that does mean that it looks a little bit more out of place than I would want it to. Like it really is a very realistic cookie. Like it looks so, so cool. Like it looks really, really good. And it is a very, very pretty item to wear. I think it would work really well with EGL and of course, biscuit, choco, Neapolitan girl fashion. However, I think in an ideal world, I'd want the chain just sitting a little bit shorter so it's more here rather than here. Okay, hopefully you can kind of see what I was trying to go for here. So again, it's a little bit difficult because this Axis Femme dress is a dress, and so it is hanging a little bit like lower than I'd want it to. But I do think you could very easily just like pin the dress at the back using dress clips or something to make it a little bit shorter. I'm again just kind of DIYing it because I'm on my own and don't have the ability to use a dress clip right just now. But I'm kind of wanting to have a little bit of white peeking out under the pink to kind of bring the top down to here. If it doesn't look very clear on camera, I'll show a better picture of it as well, just so you get a better idea. But yeah, I'm trying to kind of bring a little bit of the colors all the way through. So again, we've got the white here, and then we've got the pink here, and then like more brown here with like this cute little mesh underneath. I suppose I just kind of wanted to bring more textures into this particular outfit, and I feel like with this style, it's a little bit easier to do. But realistically, rather than using a dress for this, the better alternative would be using a longer vest top, so like a cute slip or like a long white vest top with lace. That would look very cute, and that would still achieve this kind of overlayer, but it wouldn't be as bunched up because currently I've got a ton of fabric just kind of sitting hemmed in by the power of my underwire. And then of course, who could forget the bag, which again, I think actually has matched up pretty nicely. This is the very, very cheap bag that I decided to go with instead of paying more money for the Chalmier one. And I think it was a good choice. It is a very, very cute one. I also have the little bear inside, although I think, unfortunately, the chains for the keychains that I got are a little bit too long. So this is the reusable tote bag. And then here is the little teddy bear. But again, I think you can just adjust the chains and that would work a little bit better because I do think that this does work with the style. It just needs a better chain attachment and a better place to put it. But yeah, for about £10 or just under £10, this was an absolute bargain. And again, it was brand new, so it is really good condition, and it has little twin stars inside wearing these cute lilac outfits. So again, if you're a Sanrio fan, it's like a double win. And then when it comes to my legs, I think I probably could put more layering into my legs as well. However, I will say that it is currently summertime and you don't need to do tons of layers if it's really hot outside. And I also can't risk doing tons of layers, unfortunately. But I have decided to put these cute little kind of cream colored leg warmers on, which I already owned. These are just very nice, comfy, fluffy little leg warmers that fit really great pretty much over any shoe. But again, I feel like they just bring a little bit more to the outfit. I think if I had some other socks here, maybe like some cute brown underneath socks, that would look really, really cute. Because again, this is definitely a style or an aesthetic that lends itself to a lot of layering. And in this instance, I definitely feel like with leg warmers, I could do some more layering and have some cute socks and do a couple different sock layers if it was kind of more autumn winter. But unfortunately, it is not autumn winter yet, which makes me very sad because that is my favorite time of year. It is sadly summertime and it's currently 30 degrees today, so I am quite warm. However, in the autumn or winter time, loads of layering on your legs would definitely be a good option. And then as for shoes, I've just gone with my light pink and white New Rocks. These are really, really comfy. They're one of the pairs that I have worn so much. They are one of my favorite pairs of shoes of all time. But yeah, I think these work quite well with the leg warmers. Again, I do think I could benefit from more layering because the colorful tattoos on my legs are a little bit off brand with this particular color scheme. However, I do think that the shoes work quite well. And again, they are platforms as well, which is kind of my preferred shoe of choice. But you could definitely wear Mary Jane's, or you could wear some cute black shoes or loafers. I definitely feel like out of all the styles that I have tried for this video, this is probably the easiest to style because again, it doesn't require any Japanese brand names or Japanese brands to achieve. Like again, I got Access Femme because that's something that I knew already really worked with the style. Like you could very easily upcycle, thrift, DIY this style. It has no hard and fast rules. Again, the only real thing is just the color scheme, which again, is still kind of up to interpretation depending on what you want to go for. So you can go for more pink, cream, white and brown, or you could do mint choc chip, you can do dark chocolate. Like there's quite a few ways that you can take it. I'm sure red velvet could probably come under it as well. So again, you've got quite a lot of leniency with how you do it. And I definitely feel like you could do a really beautiful red velvet cake inspired look, which again could be a red velveteen baby doll from Baby the Stars Shine Bright, a cute headdress, and then maybe a brown or white blouse, and then some really cute biscuit and chocolate accessories. Like there's definitely ways that you can achieve it with stuff you already own or with other items from other J fashion styles. And like I said, everything with this outfit, with the exception of this hair clip, was secondhand. Even the Access Femme dress here that I'm using as like a layering piece, that was bought secondhand at Closet Child in Osaka, I believe, for like £5. But yeah, I definitely feel like Choco Girl is a style that actually works surprisingly well on a lot of people. I'm surprised at how much I like how I look in it. I wasn't expecting to really be that into it. I was like, oh, it could look cute. I'm actually kind of vibing with it heavy. Like I actually really do enjoy it. And I do feel like surprisingly, although my hair is definitely still more vibrant than you would typically go for with this aesthetic, it doesn't look bad. Like it doesn't look bad. But I definitely feel like if you're interested in it, if you love shoujo vibes, if you love kind of girly fashion, this is definitely going to be one that you're probably going to vibe with quite well. And again, is easy to achieve very, very simply on a much, much, much lower budget than things like EGL. But also, if you do like EGL or you're somebody who already owns EGL items, there's a good chance that you might have stuff that could already work for this aesthetic. Because I wouldn't say anything about this particular hat or even this jumper really is all that special. Like, it's really, really cute. But again, I've seen similar items come up for more old school, late 2000s, early 2010s Dorothy Perkins, New Look, Topshop. Like, those are kind of very common actually, like blouses, Peter Pan collars, all of this stuff was very, very popular for a good era of time here in the West. So I definitely feel like it's more achievable than, again, things like Tenshi Kaiwai, EGL, Jirai on a much more limited or local budget. But yeah, I definitely would like to actually get like a proper vest top rather than having to kind of use this dress and DIY it. But I would wear this outfit again, actually, quite happily. I'd very happily wear this outside. And I would like to wear this outfit out, actually, and go for a day out in this outfit, because I think it's really, really cute. But I'd probably wait until it's a little bit cooler, because I'm quite warm at the minute. It is too hot in England for this outfit, sadly, right now. And I'd probably want to get a proper vest underlayer, or even just a thinner shirt where it's going to peek out a little bit at the bottom, kind of like how I've layered it here, where it's got the frills out, but it's not going to bunch up, because that's the only thing with this jumper being from Access Femme, is it's designed to be slim fit. This is meant to be the top layer, but I think because I wanted to have that silhouette of a little bit more going on by the skirt, layering it made it look a little bit more bulky. But that is what it is. I definitely feel like if you had a vest top, that would be less of a problem. But yeah, out of all three outfits, I think this is probably my second favorite, but actually it's closer to the top spot with EGL than I thought. I am surprised at how much I like it, and I do think it looks kind of cute on me. Like, you can disagree in the comments, I guess, let me know down below, but I actually think it looks pretty cute, and I'm glad I've tried it properly, because actually I think I'd probably wear it again quite happily. I think it is really cute. It's very comfy as well. It's warm. I'm very warm right now, but it's very comfy. It is just like a cute skirt. It's a cute jumper, some cute layering, a cool hat that's very comfy on my head, thank God. Again, I think it's kind of fun. I definitely recommend it. If you're interested in this style, it's very easy to achieve, and yeah, definitely give it a go.
Honestly, this video has been really, really fun to research and also film, because ultimately trying new styles can help you discover things that you really, really like that you never thought that you would actually want to wear or could suit you, or even just inspire you on how to improve your current wardrobe, even if it's not necessarily in the same color scheme or style. And I've also loved challenging myself to build these outfits secondhand using JPFans, seeing how cheap I'm able to get stuff, and seeing the incredible deals that are available for certain styles, such as Tenshi Kaiwai, because again, oh my God, that bundle, so cheap. Trying new styles can be really, really intimidating, especially when you're young or you're inexperienced and you don't know where to start. However, I think it's really important to not feel discouraged and allow yourself the space to experiment with styles and subcultures that resonate with you, even if the final result isn't the polished, perfect, Pinterest-ready look that you'd be hoping for. The communities around these styles are often very willing and ready to share their knowledge or give advice when it comes to improving what you're doing. And now more than ever, J fashion has become increasingly more accessible, size inclusive, and easier than ever to start. But as always, let me know down below, what is a J fashion or alternative fashion style that you really want to try, but maybe you feel anxious to try out, or that you might try out after watching this video? Is there anything that you'd want to ask people in the comments for advice with, whether that's fashion advice, shopping advice, if you want to know where to buy a certain thing or how to find a certain thing? A big thank you to the creators who helped participate in this video as well. A big thank you to them. They were lovely, wonderful. I really appreciate them chipping in and giving their feedback and thoughts. I love getting constructive criticism. I think it's really, really good. It helped me improve my outfit, I believe, when I re-wore my EGL outfit recently at Hyper Japan. And so again, I really, really appreciate the opportunity to just talk to these creators and take advice, because at the end of the day, I think all of us still have the room to benefit from advice and experience other people have. And also, as always, let me know, what craft are you doing? Are you crocheting, drawing old man yaoi, doing a sketch, doing an animatic? Are you doing your coursework for school, art coursework? What are we doing right now? Show me. Show me what we're doing. What are we making? What are we crafting right now? Are we doing chores? Who's making dinner? And of course, as always, I want to thank my beautiful patrons, everyone from the casual tier all the way to our beautiful Oshi tier members, who are Nina Hopkins, Falky Gone Missing, Lucy, Shy Raw, Harakivo, Danny16, Meryl Lyram, Neon Ferris Wheel, Florenciaga, Hive Angel, Onyx, Kira, Mooney's Silly Palace, Icy Law, Rami Does Her Best, and Crybaby Mothman. And of course, also all of our beautiful Otaku tier patrons as well. By subscribing over on Patreon for just $2.50 a month, you you can get access to all of my YouTube content, downloadable and ad-free. But for the Otaku and Oshutim members, you also get exclusive Patreon videos that no one else gets to see. These include vlogs from Japan, panel content from conventions, and also room tours and figure unboxings. I'm also hoping to do some gameplay and some other stuff too, so again, keep an eye out. Now that I have moved house, if you couldn't tell, the setup has changed a little bit. It does make it easier for me to stream because my upload speed is actually really, really good. Upload and download speed is actually phenomenally good. Yes, finally. But as always, the cheapest and easiest way of supporting me and what I do is by liking the video, sharing the video, saving the video, leaving a comment down below, interact with other people, please. Allow the algorithm to know that you found it interesting. Hype the video if you are on mobile. And as always, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon beside it to never miss an upload. Now, as always, it is time for the end of the video outfit check and some of your amazing fan art. As always, if you want to tag me in any fan art, please do over on Instagram or TikTok. Please make sure you tag me so I can actually see it. Sometimes I won't see it if you don't tag me and make sure that I'm directly being shown it. Make sure you do that so I can see it, because otherwise I might not see it. I'd love to include it. And as always, I'll see you in the next video. Bye! Hello, it is time for the end of the video outfit check and some of your amazing fan art. So starting off on my head as usual, we have my AliExpress goggles. These are pilot goggles or aviator goggles. I have a proper pair of like leather vintage ones, but these are just really comfy and lightweight. So again, if you're somebody who gets a little bit sensitive to like stimulation or different textures and fabric and weight, this is a really good option. Then around my neck, I have my Named Collective safety pin choker, and I also have my angel type razor blade cross necklace. Then my little crop top, which is underneath my hoodie, is from Cyberdog in London. This is just like a really basic kind of crop bra situation, but it's really, really comfy and again looks really, really cute as like an underlayer. And then the hoodie that I'm wearing is from Reflem, and I recently bought it when I was in Japan. I wasn't sure if I actually wanted to keep it, not gonna lie. Like when I bought it, I kind of almost felt like I had a bit of FOMO and just bought it out of like rushing around La Foret. However, after putting it on and actually trying to style it at home, I have warmed to it. I actually really, really like this hoodie, so I'm really glad I got it, but this is from Reflem. And then on the bottom, I just have my secondhand Minga London jorts. These are technically the big baggy like cargo trousers, but you can unzip them to make them jorts, which is perfect for the weather right now because it is so hot. Oh my god. But yeah, these are just like a basic pair of jorts. Again, very comfy, very casual, but they're just good for filming and lounging around and doing what you need to do. And yeah, that is just today's outfit. It is a big departure from all the other styles that I've been wearing in this video, which I thought would be a fun juxtaposition, showing the differences and how you can look different depending on the style. But again, I think it's really, really cool to wear different styles, try different styles, enjoy different styles. I think it's very healthy, very normal to have a varied wardrobe if you enjoy it. So again, don't feel pressured into sticking to one thing. If you like a lot of styles, wear a lot of styles. At the end of the day, fashion is meant to be fun and meant to make you feel good.